Kobe experience featuring the Water Alchemist. So I'm going to wait for those in the chat to kind of get here. And I do want to say this. This is why I started a couple minutes early. Please refrain from asking questions until the end of the line. I repeat, please refrain from asking questions until at the end of the live. So please have respect for my moderators, and I'm going to wait on you. Now, the subject is going to be dealing with Egyptian vampirism, and I will be touching on Judas Iscariot as well. Hey, how you doing, Lana? Norman Garcia, how you doing? Anonymous, how you doing? Glad you could join me. Ashe, Peter, how you doing? Peace, showstopper. Peace. Dark Sun, peace. How are you? Thank you for joining me. I hope everyone is well. It's pretty good up here. It's sunny and it's in the 50s, so glad to be enjoying some warm weather. And it's even going to be warmer tomorrow. It's going to be in the mid 60s, so I'm looking forward to that. One more minute, chat, and then we're going to get started. I'm not even going to hold nobody. So if you really like my work, you can support my PayPal or you can support my Patreon, Water Alchemist. You can support that. Sorcerer at patreon.com. Mahogany Pinks, how you doing? Seventh Denim, how you doing? Legend Archer is one of my moderators, and the Fact Check King is in the building. Okay, 7 o'clock. Let's get started. Occult Cat TV, how you doing, my brother? I am glad that you are here. So let's get into it. Now, when you think of vampires, a lot of people, Naya Moon, how you doing? A lot of people think of the movies, and I want to really kind of touch on that. One of the it's alleged, and I do somewhat believe it, that the birthplace or the origination of vampirism begins in Egypt, and I'm not the only one that takes this type of perspective. There are many other occultists that take this. So I kind of want to deal with two types of vampires. Now, in the vampire community, in the modern paradigm, we have those vampire clans, and you have some arrogance where people feel like the true vampires are the sanguine vampires. Now, we know sanguine basically means that you drink blood. And in Kemet, they really didn't engage in that practice. Maybe with one of the exceptions of one of the original vampires, and that would be Sekhmet, the war goddess. Now she engaged in it, but we have to understand something. In the modern paradigm, the now times, that's that could be a dangerous practice, and I'm not going to lecture anybody. You can do whatever you want to do, but I think that you have to really know your partner or donor's health history because certain diseases can lay dormant in your body for 10 to 12 years. So I'll have to get started on that. And there are various types besides that. You have the Sabertooth clan, and one of them instructed me. You have the Sabertooth clan, you have their helpers like the Black Swan, the White Swan, or the emotional vampire. Now, I'm going to touch on them real quick. The emotional vampire, or the Astral. The reason that you got to be on guard with them is that they're able to drain energy through starting arguments, through thriving on conflict. And a lot of people fall into that human trap. So that's something I want people to beware of. And I want to use this book. I've talked about it before, but if you want more about the different vampire clans, you can get Black Veil Master Vampire Edition 888 by Father Sebastian. You can get that book, very good book, and it talks about the vampiric culture. And one of the problems before I move forward that I have with that is that I'm gonna say this, that whole taking the whole Anne Rice interview with a vampire, y'all taking it too far. Like y'all, a lot of y'all are taking it really, really, really too far. So that's one book, but I want to read something for y'all right now. And this is something that it's 4 guidelines for vampiric magic. Vampiric magic is focus. Decorate your chamber sparingly where you do your magic at. Think about each new item you want to train the wheel with as few props as possible. Timing is highly important if you want to manifest something big, like the perfect job. Do the magical work early, maybe 6 months in advance. If you are working to influence another human, work when they are at a low ebb, for example, 90 minutes before they rise for the day. In other words, get the jump on your opposition. Keep records of your work. Repeat that which is successful. 4. Do not tell others of your work unless their knowledge of it is part of the energy that you're channeling. This is where I find a lot of sorcerers and witches fall into this trap. They're not able to hold water. They don't know how to keep their mouth shut. And I want to read something right here because there's people in the so-called conscious community slash African centered community that feels like occultism is not a part of so-called African or melanated tradition. That's erroneous and that's just flat out wrong. Let me read something right here. This is on page 98. This is chapter 8, Tribe. And I'm only going to give you a little bit because I know tribes are going to be here. I'm their guilty pleasure. But listen to this, family. The magic of Pascal Beverly Randolph. Pascal Beverly Randolph, born October 8th, 1825, met his demise July 29th, 1875, changed Western magic deeply and brought into re-manifestation some vampiric principles. He wrote more than 50 books on magic and medicine and was an early advocate of birth control, an advocate for freed African Americans, and a friend of many important people from Abraham Lincoln to Napoleon. His work influenced the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, the Theosophical Society, the Golden Dawn, the OTO, which was Crowley's organization, Gortrip, and Sira Aurobindo. Randolph's name is obscured for 2 reasons. First, he wrote about sexual magic in frank terms, such as the sperm, the phallus, and the clitoris, at a time when such things were discussed either as allegory, fire or serpent energy, or dealt with as folklore of ancient groups. Second, and most damningly, he was a black man in America before the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Here go right here, fam. Page 98. And that's from the book Energy Magic of the Vampire or Vampire by Don Webb, who was a former high priest of the Temple of Set, which was founded in June 1975 by Michael Aquino. And Michael Aquino got a threat from one of his professors, and I believe this was in the book Temple of Set. And basically, his professor was telling him if you keep saying that the original Egyptians were black, guess what, homie? You ain't gonna get that PhD. Remember something. The purpose of any institution is to protect said institutions. Don't get it messed up, okay? All that, if you fall out with them, double masters for you. That's how it works. And when people say, oh, well, this isn't part of the tradition or nothing, no, that is not true. And besides, in Kemet, you also have the Ifa tradition, you have Santeria, you even have aspects of hoodoo, which is a mixture of white, African, and indigenous. And there are rituals. You can do vampire rituals to make sure when a person makes their transition that they don't get stuck in the in-between realm, because when you first transition, what ends up happening is that two things. You can either be angry or you really don't understand what's all happening. This is why it's very important. I'm going to offer this as a caveat, is that you have people that oftentimes will do funerals the way they want to. This is very important that you get you a will or a trust with specific instructions, period, point blank. And I'm going to give you some examples why. First story was this. I remember a person that I knew, I was close to. We were both in the Black Watch movement together, which the Black Watch movement was affiliated with Professor X and X Clan. So he met his demise over some woman. And I remember everyone was talking about the funeral. Well, what happened? Now, he was anti-Judeo-Christian. Yeah. Let me tell you what happened for his troubles. One of his cousins was Reverend Porkchop Incarnated. That's what he was. Reverend Porkchop Incarnated. So what did he do? He talked about how he was baptized, he was this, he was that, and then on top of that, he said he had a passion for black history. Passion for black history? He was a revolutionary. What are you talking about? You made it seem like he was some 11th grader going through a phase. That's one story. Now, here's the second story, and this just happened today, but this began February 24th. Now, where I live at, I reside in the first ward. The councilman of this ward, you may have heard of him. His name is Eric Mays. Eric Mays transitioned February 24th of his year. Do you know that man still not put in the ground? No. You want to know why he's not in the ground? Let me tell you. Because his siblings, he has three brothers and one sister. The sister's Veronica Simon. They got into a lawsuit with Eric Hakeem Mays. That is the son of Eric Mays. And Sheldon Neely, who is the mayor here, he was named in one of those lawsuits. And you know what's happening? We just got announced today. Eric Mays was born and raised in Flint. His father, who transitioned before him, was a pastor. Eric Mays is getting buried in Saginaw. Do you know how much love that Eric Mays had in Flint? I would run to Eric Mays on a few occasions. So he's getting buried in Flint, even though he doesn't really have no connection to Flint. And that's the verdict that the judge rendered here. So I'm saying all this to say, if you are an occultist, you better get somebody that's going to do a ritual for you when you make your transition. Now they can do this privately. And Pascal Beverly Randolph, let me say this. He got into a magical war with Helena Blavatsky, and he came out on the losing end of that. But people like her and Crowley was using his stuff because the Theosophical Society got founded the same year that Pascal died. Facts. And one of the authors of Dracula, or the author of Dracula, excuse me, was Bram Stoker. Bram Stoker was a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And he based his novel off of Vlad the Impaler. What's what the definition of that? His name. It means son of the dragon. So when you're dealing with vampire magic or vampire magic, one of the chapters in Black Veil by Father Sebastian deals with immortality as well as the dragon. Okay? Now, that's something that I want you to ponder when you're doing this exquisite work. And there's something called the Rite of the Four Talismans. This is a central rite of the vampiric initiation. It charges the elements in the vampiric invocation to a greater level of power. You need to obtain the four totems explained in chapter 4. Toys or small figurines of a mummy, an owl, a wolf, and a bat. Each week, you consecrate one and then leave it in a special environment. I give examples of such environments. If you don't have the perfect place, merely choose a location away from your home in the correct direction. For the mummy, south. Owl, east. For the wolf, north. And for the west, back. Now, this is a vampiric ritual you can do. Like I said, energy magic of the vampire. This is page 154. Everyone should get this book if you're really serious about it. If you're really serious about your magic, and especially if you want to deal with vampiric magic, you need to get that. Because like I said, Anubis said he doesn't have no problem with the vampires. Ra told me years ago he ain't feeling vampires. The end, not up for further discussion. So that's something that people need to think about. And this is another book right here. Akara, Vampiric Magic by Michael W. Ford. Okay? That's a book right there that deals with it. And the name Akaru, that's another name for a vampire, but it wasn't just used in Kemet. Also, this name was used in Samaria. And Samaria and Egypt both have ties together. But this is something that you can think of right here. Flowing energy and physical vampirism. Now, it goes with that chapter, but it deviates into sight vampirism. Now, this I talked about tendrils, and that's on my playlist. Sight vampirism. Developing tendrils from the astral is depending upon the discipline, power, and experience of the vampire. If you have practiced touch vampirism, see the movie Fallen with Denzel Washington, 1996. Don't be letting anybody touch on you. If you have practiced touch vampirism for some time, and I have, I'm guilty of that, your level and power will increase accordingly. Sight vampirism is done so by envisioning a tendril extending from your own astral body to entering your chosen target. It is imperative to not harm anyone, because what will end up happening is that if you take on too much energy for somebody, you're going to take on their emotions as well. So this means that you may be angry with somebody or frustrated, you know, with them for no reason. Or you just may be sleepy. It's kind of like you at Thanksgiving dinner and you don't know when to lay off the turkey, the dressing, the macaroni and cheese, and you just like, you zonked out. But it says this. Listen up, family, and those in the chat. 1. Notice energy field individual. 2. With eyes locked unto your solar plexus, imagine serpents or tendrils from your body into their astral body. 3. Watch and determine their breathing cycle. You will drain according to this. 4. As they exhale, begin drawing an energy by breathing deeply through both your mouth and nose. People don't know how to breathe right, and I see this when they're doing meditation. You got breathing is paramount. Inhaling, exhaling with the mouth open. So, as they exhale, begin drawing in energy by breathing deeply through both your mouth and nose. As I said, bring this breath constant until your lungs are filled. Imagine the tendrils are released and drawn back. Breathe slowly and control your bodily movements. Repeat if necessary. And they also have the dragon of the abyss, the subconscious leviathan, and dream vampirism. Right here. Here it is, chat. Right there. Right there. Breathing is everything, and the reason that breathing is very important is because you you're taking in energy. You can give energy and you can take energy. And one of the things that Michelle Ballinger, she talked about this in the book Psychic Vampire Codex, is that if you don't feed as a vampire, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to feed on the astral plane. When you're doing vampire magic or vampire magic, you're really feeding astrally. That's why, it's very important, because somebody who's a true occultist and studies vampire magic, what's going to end up happening is that they can just feed at will, whether they're up or they're asleep. Now, here's an answer I'm going to give to those before they ask it. Are vampires psychically, are they born or are they made? It's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. And the third thing is this: do you have to be vampiric to excel at vampire magic? No, you don't. You can still excel at vampire magic. I've done that, and I'm not even from that clan, even though somebody from the Sabertooth clan was teaching me about the vampiric culture. But I'm from the dragon. I'm from the draconian line. But the dragons and the vampires, they have a close connection. And just like I said before, and to shock some people, there are many people in the vampire community that got assistance from Baron Samedi. Yeah, they did. So that's important that people really know that everything isn't always as cut and dry as we really want to believe that it is. And when you doing this, like I said, the the people who are sanguine, they believe that they're the top dogs in the vampiric community. Whereas if you really study, especially Egyptian vampirism, that's not the case. It's psychic, it's spiritual. That's what it is. And you can do a whole lot of things. Like I said, you can work with, and if you look at my channel, you can work with one of Lilith's emissaries, Zook. You can work with him. And I was welcomed astrally by Zook and his emissaries as well as Lilith. And I didn't understand at the time when Lilith was saying, "Oh, I'll help you with your vampire magic." In other words, you'll see. So when you doing this, the original vampires hail from Kemet or Tameri or Egypt. That's just the fact. And I know a lot of people want to think otherwise, but no, that's the truth. Because one of the first vampires was Sekhmet. Okay, facts. What happened when Ra had to get her drunk, and that's his child. He had to get her drunk because Sekhmet was laying waste to everybody. Okay, if you was there when she was there, it wasn't gonna go good for you. So that's something that people got to think about. And when you're working with the vampire, they have different currents like the black current, the red current, etc. But the thing is, working with them will raise your alchemy times 10. I cannot say that enough. Now, there's also vampiric sex magic. Now, I'm going to touch on this, and it's good that you have a partner because when you're doing the vampiric sex magic, both of y'all can give a offering to Lilith sexually. But the key is when you're doing these type of rituals, don't never do no ritual with somebody that's not doesn't have the will that you got. It's very important that they have the will that you got and the magical intent. Like if y'all focusing as one up here, and then sexually, you're good to go. You ain't got nothing to worry about. You are so good to go. So, and this book here also touches on the Citra Aqua or the Kalippa as well, and that's the other side. So imagining you getting the energy of Samael if you're a male, and she's getting the energy of Lilith. So it even has a thing on here. These are the names of the 12 princes and tribes of the Kalipov, who are the heads of the months of the year. Right there, family. It deals with all the 12 signs. Right there. And I want to show you about this. Now, it deals with planets because in Kemet, before the corruption, there was astrology and astronomy function as one. But you got Kether. Now you deal with the Kabbalah. Kether is of Satan and Moloch, and that's just different sides of the coin. You also got Pluto or Chokmah. That's Beelzebub. Saturn is Benah or Luphvig Rothakal. Jupiter is Chesed. That's Astaroth. Mars is Geberah or Asmodeus. You got the Sun, which is Tepherath and Balfagor. You got Venus, which is Nisak and Baal. You have Mercury, which is Hod, which is occupied by Adramelech. You got the Moon, Yesa, and Lilith, because Lilith is also a moon goddess. And you got the Earth, Malkuth or Nehemiah. Nehemiah is the sister of Lilith. And again, this is dealing with the extended vampire gate. The origination of vampires comes from Egypt. Period. That's where it comes from. And it has a section on here, and again, it's dealing with the Kundalini and vampiric draining of chakras, the tendril of darkness and piercing the centers of the chakras. This information is here for you, chat. It's here for you. You got to go out and you got to do the hard work. You got to learn how to breathe. You got to do your meditation. You can practice sex magic. Why do you think Pascal Beverly books are so hard to get? Yeah, you get some pirate copies, and I'm guilty of it. You know, you can get some, but what Blavatsky had felt, because Blavatsky was racist. I'm just going to say it. She felt that Pascal was doing too much. This is why I could commend Israel regarding when he recorded all the secrets. It's called the Black Book. It's like almost 900 pages. And he was giving up all the rituals and techniques of the Order of the Golden Dawn. And Crowley was irate. He was furious. The only reason he was mad is because Regardie beat him to the punch. That's why. So like I said again, it's always should be set up, like I said earlier, is that make sure that you don't have no Reverend Porkchop in your family, or you have somebody that's just going to take control over your funeral. You got to be very careful about that. That's why the vampire magic is very strong, because an occultist, especially if they really know their stuff, they can make sure you make it to where you need to go successfully. That's why get you some occultists that know the left hand path, vampiric magic, or ancestor reverence, funerary rites. Make sure that you really get someone that can do that for you. And like I said, that there's so many rituals that you can do, and the key is that when you're doing this type of vampiric magic, you can connect to Anubis, no problem. Anubis Ampu is open to that. He is open to making sure that you go where you need to go, because you got to remember, Anubis is a gateway deity. That's what he is. He's going to make sure you go where you need to go. And one thing I remember, I remember when I first started really testing out vampire magic with the tendrils and all that, and just the eye contact. If you really know your stuff, you know you can drain somebody just with eye contact. I've done it. So I know it can be done. When people say, well, how you did it? Because I did it. I engaged in it. Okay, this ain't the rookie cookie club. I did it. It worked. There you go. Now, let's say I'm making certain provisions. Anything that happens, a lot of my important papers and consecrated jewelry goes to the Order of the Red Dragon. Ain't no trolls getting a hold of my stuff. I will toss that in the Flint River before I let the troll get my stuff. Period. I'm not above it. So I'll do that because I don't want no trolls talking about, oh well, water alchemist, he left the occult and he found Jesus. See, you got some people even in your own family that will make it up along the way. I will come back with some banshees and some ghouls. You better not do that, okay? Period. I'm not for the nonsense. And oh, yeah. Here's something. Chat. Hecate. Burn dragon's blood, mugwort, and wormwort incense if available. Black candles. 3. One red candle, one white candle. And they talk about her. She's the equivalent of Lilith, and she is also skilled with vampirism. Hecate. Okay? Now, that's page 148. Again, get this book. Okay? I don't ever want nobody to say that, well, we didn't get this and we ain't get that. Yes, you did. You did get it. And my thing is this. Please share this live. Let's keep making the trogs mad. Come on, chat. We in this together. We got to make the trogs mad. Come on. I live for this. I do. I live for this. And I want to say something too, because a lot of people want to know where to start from. Well, I just gave you a couple of books, and one of the things that people got to understand, especially when you make your transition, don't be going by no light. Okay? Don't 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 go by no light. That's people fall for that so much. Here go the books again. Akaru by Michael W. Ford. And this is Energy Magic of the Vampire, Secret Techniques for Personal Power and Manifestation by Don Webb. And he's also the author of this book that I read. Author of Overthrowing the Old Gods. Certain gods, let me educate a lot of people here. Certain gods want to see your ascension, others don't. I mean, so it's not as it's not as easy as people make it out to be. And I want to say this for the modern day vampires that I did touch on, and there's a plethora of books by Father Sebastian, and you get that I talked about Black Veil, but you also get Vampire Magic and the Sang Gwenomicon. That's kind of hard to get that one, but it is a good read, and you can get it for your Kindle, so you could get that. But one of the things about it is that when you join a vampire community, I think after a year, if I'm not mistaken, they take like a dental imprint and you get your fangs created for you. So that's very that's very important to know. Because when they're bringing you in, they have their own books, laws, and codes of justice. So that, like I said, but the whole interview with the vampire thing, and I'm not with all that. And for one of the colors of the vampire is the psychic vampire or chi or prana vampire is green. Is green. So just letting everyone know. So I also, like I said, I've given books. I've worked with Zook. I've worked with Lilith. Hecate did a solid for me real quick. And on one of the lives, I'm going to have to talk about Lycan or werewolf magic. Because, see, when you do astral projection, and you're going to have guardians. So one of the guardians over there is I got the vampire community, but I also got like Lycans over there, and Hecate has a lichen aspect. So that's very important. And just like I said, when you doing that, Santa Muerte, the bony lady, she has a vampire vanguard. So people think like it is, I don't know, like I don't know sometimes what people be thinking. It's just somewhat makes me laugh, because what people at one person asked me, and it was so funny. Like one person said, "Have you ever been to church?" Let me say something like this. I know the fluffy bunny's probably here. I can go anywhere I want to at any time. And I can do cloaking rituals if I feel like it, but I've never had to. You wanna know why? Because people think this is Hollywood. Oh, if he's a sorcerer, he wouldn't dare come up in the church. Okay, and if I do what? What's gonna happen to me? Nothing. Ain't nothing been happening. So what's gonna happen now? Get out of this Hollywood fantasy. Like I said, you want to get involved in vampirism, Hecate can help you, Anubis can help you, Lilith definitely can help you, Zoot can help you. They can help you. That's why I laugh when people be talking about occultism don't have no roots in Africa. I think that's just like the funniest thing ever. And I'm saying this because there was one so-called occultist that made me laugh. He gonna say to me, black people can never be true Luciferians. Just, but I'm gonna tell you where it's coming from. It's coming from an organization that's affiliated with Nazism. I'm not even. They don't. They will never get no light on this platform. I know you, but I ain't gonna say your name. But you're affiliated with Nazis. Yeah. And the funny thing is that many people in the occult community, they don't get in the skin color. Like the real ones, because like I said, when I about this book, Don Webb is not black. Don Webb is white. Okay? He's not black. He's white. And there was a white author that wrote about Helena Blavatsky, and that he said she was racist. So we deal with consciousness, illumination, and a code of ethics. Okay? That is what that's what the true occultists do. Now, let me read something from that book since I held it up. Gods and Goddesses for the Vampire. Listen up, chat. Bridget, the Celtic goddess of war. Chinamaza, one of the tantric goddesses. Coyote, a trickster god in many American Indian traditions. You have Ishkagal, the Sumerian queen of the underworld. Hecate, Hermes, and Mami Wata, the mermaid goddess of Western, Central, and Southern Africa. You have Manat. You have Nephthys. You have Odin. You have Persephone. Listen up, chat. Set. Set can help you as with your vampire magic. Because Michael Aquino, when he said he encountered, he was trying to evoke Satan. And instead, he ran into Set. So, here it is. Page 235. God and Goddesses for the Vampire. There you go, chat. Right there. See that? Right there. So, when you come here, when you come to my channel, you're going to get educated. So when somebody get to running their mouth and all that, and I get it, the whole, they got, I don't know, like 212 candles and black fingernails and all the rest of that corny stuff. No, you come here. You make it your business to come here, because over here, you going to learn the correct way. And where you go from there is where you go from there. And this book is so dynamic because it got backgrounds, it got life analysis questions to consider, vampiric analysis to consider. So in other words, it's giving you rituals, techniques, and stuff to really work on, because The vampire path is not an easy one. It's not. I mean, no form of magic is easy, but what I really find is that draconian and vampire magic is is really difficult. Okay, chat, y'all got to keep up now. Some of y'all. Again, this is the book. All right, that's book one by Don Webb. This is book two, Hakaru, Michael W. Ford. All right. Now, I'm not gonna. This live isn't gonna be too long. Now let's get into Judas Iscariot. Okay, this is where the religious tribes. This is where y'all gonna hate me to death. Now, as we know, Judas is alleged to be the betrayer of Yahshua or Jesus. There's only one problem with that, though. That's not what the Gnostics say. Like you have a lot of deleted books, such as the Gospel of Thomas. You also have the Gospel of Judas Iscariot. So, what ends up happening is that Judas Iscariot was the only one that was really taught the true gospel of Jesus. And he wanted Judas to really take the fall and be the villain or the betrayer of Jesus. But wait, there's more. Did you know you can do rituals to summon Judas Iscariot? You can. Now, of course, you have to set up wards and work with your guardian spirits to make sure that no imposters may come in their place, but you actually can summon Jesus. And he would like an offering of, for example, you can drink grape juice with him. But not only that, one of the offerings that you can make to him, and a lot of deities or those on the other side that they like, is this Setyas Nag Champa incense. He would like that. Or you can get patchouli, or you can get sandalwood incense. Now, what can Judas Iscariot do for you? I'm so glad you asked. He can help you with protection. He also can help raise your alchemy, and he also can increase your magical skills as a great sorcerer or black magician, and that's what he can do for you. But like I said, don't blame it on me. And people talk about the 12 disciples, that's related to, the zodiac. Well, on the surface. But if you count Jesus, that's 13. Do you know that 13 is a revered number amongst demons? I know, tribes. I know you hate it. And it's also 13 is 13 is dealing with another constellation that's related to Imhotep. So I just wanted to let you know. And like I said, family, please come back, watch this live again. Send the trogs my way. I'm the Trog Annihilator for a reason. But like I said, if anyone tries to tell you anything different, the birthplace of vampirism is Egypt. Kemet. Period. Point blank. So, with that said, chat, I appreciate my moderators. Now, let's open up for a few questions. I'm not going to be here like all night, but I'm going to try and take some questions if I can. So, let's get into it. Is Lucifer Amun Ra? No. They're both sun gods, though. Can Marchoses help you? Yeah, she can help you. Marchoses was originally an angel, and she has a lichen or werewolf form. She can help you. Marchoses can be a talker though. She loves to talk. Why am I attached to Anubis? You may be. It's not so much you attached to Anubis. Anubis maybe open up to working with you. Let me say this again. If you keep thinking about a deity or a spirit, 9 out of 10, that's their way of trying to encourage you to connect with them because they see potential in you and they want to work with you. The occult cat T, greatest thing you personally have learned from walking the path: stand on your square and get the idiots out of your life and the toxic people. That's the greatest thing I ever learned. I have no patience for disloyal and dishonorable people. You got love for me, I got love for you. Can you also summon Yeshua? Yeshua, Jesus, is Agagor, but you can summon him if you choose. So you can do that. Patrick Dix, everything is not as simple as good and evil because that can be subjective. So vampires, there were just good vampires, there were bad vampires. That's like in any community. It's like, okay, you got people in your family you love, you do anything for. You got other people, like if they came up missing in the woods, you wouldn't exactly feel bad either. So it's not that you're Jimmy Crooks. It's not that you're feeding demons, but if you want to just make a offering of incense just to do it, you can do it. But if you want to evoke them, yeah, but you can just make an offering and not try and summon them. Mm. Ogun, huh? Well, Kalimata, I mean, if Ogun is close for you, probably want to work with you. And like I said again, get those two books. Get Father Sebastian's book, and get Michelle Ballinger's book, the Psychic Vampire Codex. You get that. One of the numbers of Imhotep is 13. That is correct. What is another good banishing ritual other than the lesser banishing ritual? Work with Lucifer. You can get the book Lucifer and Hidden Demons by Theodore Rose. Okay, let me say something real quick about the Satanic Bible. Do you know there's a passage in the Satanic Bible, even though it's an old book, it came out December 1969. There's a passage in there that shows you how to deal with psychic vampires. Or, as I said earlier in the video, the Asarai, that's the emotional vampire. It shows you how to deal with them. And there's also another book, The Psychic Vampire by Joel E. Slate. You could get Joel E. Slate's book. I read that book like over 20 years ago. You get that off of Amazon. How did I first get to the Necronomicon legacy, Sigma? Through accident. That's how I got into it. Didn't know what I was doing. So I got into it, the 50 Names of Marduk. So that's how I got into it. I heard a lot of people talking about it. And there was this whole diatribe about how it was a fraud and it was fake. So, I don't know. Could I provide some insight into Baphomet? Baphomet is not evil. Baphomet is actually a corruption of Mafumet, which was which came by way of the Sufis in Islam. So Baphomet is not evil. Baphomet deals with the polarities of male and female consciousness and unconsciousness. It is not evil. Okay, look, I'm gonna say this. The purpose of religion is to keep you coming back. Okay, I can't make it no more plain than that. The purpose of religion is to keep you reincarnating. All right, and to be one of Jehovah's whores. There you go. You can take it, or you can just reject it. It's up to you. But that's the whole purpose of it. What's the meaning you think we should know from the Satanic Bible? The meaning is this: is that you're responsible for yourself, and you match energy for energy. And then it took a lot. It has some misquotes in there, but a lot of what LeVay took came from like Ayn Rand, and she wrote a book called Atlas Shrugs. Former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker said that that was required reading for any of his interns. And Scott Walker was funded by the Koch brothers. So there you go. And the fall of the Church of Satan began in 1975 when Anton LaVey started giving people these fake degrees or whatever, and that made Michael Aquino, who was really the second in command, that made Michael Aquino with other people defect, because Michael Aquino says even in this, even the Church of Satan's heyday, they never had over 300 members. Okay, and that book, The Church of Satan, is like a phone book. That's at least 1,000 pages. So Anton LaVey was like, okay, we just gonna give titles and degrees out. And any occult organization, you got to make people earn something. You want to know why? Because one of the first rules of metaphysics is that you appreciate something more when you earn it. Ain't nobody gonna respect something you just hear. Here you go. How you gonna respect that? You didn't put in no work. You didn't get in the grind. What is your end goal of beliefs? My end goal? To never reincarnate and be welcomed by the gods and goddesses. Oh, yeah, that's right. They always told me that I will be welcome over there. So I'm not trying to come back. Was Anton LaVey prejudiced? Yes, he was. He had some prejudices, even though he was born April 1930, Chicago, Illinois, to a Jewish family. So he did, and his replacement was going to be a Nazi sympathizer named Boyd Rice. So yes, he had his prejudices. So there you go. And the Church of Satan is now under the stewardship of Peter Gilmore. It has a book called The Satanic Scriptures. Their headquarters is in New York, but Peter Gilmore used to he was born and raised in Patterson, New Jersey. Just the fact that he made out of Patterson, New Jersey alone, he deserves a medal for that. So, are you able to heal people within seconds, like any sort of pain? No, you're not able to do that. Can you give them healing energy? Yes, because one of the things about the vampire, even though it's predatory, is that you can also give energy, and you can work with demons from the Goetia like Boar. Boar is good with healing you, as well as Marbos. Marbos is good with helping heal people. So you can give energy, but make no mistake about it, there is a predatory aspect to vampire magic. If you invoke the help of a deity to stop someone from harming you, that's not evil. You're defending yourself. See, a lot of the occultists got to stop this. Oh, well, this whole karmic rule. Like, look, I'm gonna say this. If I teach you, I'm not teaching you to get beat up. Okay? I'm not. I don't teach nobody to get beat up. Oh, well, I know something, but I'm not gonna show my true power. Then what's the point of having it? So I don't get it. What's the point of having power when you don't use it when you absolutely have to? Period. I love this path because it let me say this, chat. Usually when you with a religion or a political organization, do you know that's just a warm up for when you're going to come to the left hand path? Did you know that? That's just I'm gonna say it like this. No disrespect, but that's ninth and 10th grade. You come over here, nah. Now you with the university now. Okay? You with the university. Legacy Sigma. What's funny about that is I live like a few streets over from Cameron Killer. So yeah, Harlem. So oh, okay. I understand, Dancing Dear Mojo. I understand. But let people tell it. Funny story too. This is when the religious tribes were really emailing me, and they were talking about how they were gonna sick Yahweh on me and all that. And I'm like, man, I done told y'all, Jehovah does not love you. Do you know Jehovah laughs at y'all? He laughs at y'all. You don't believe me? Ask Astral how Jehovah really feel about you. How do you want? Ask Astral how he really feel about y'all. Sci-fi fantasy girl, I got a playlist. You can start there. We don't do excuses over here. It's enough more book. It's enough book references and everything there to get you started on your journey. So I've done with it. I've dealt with it all. But like you got to be careful out here. And like I said, if you get with the vampire community, the modern community, usually they give you like a 90-day probationary period, like just to see where you go. And you really don't move up in the ranks because they do have a system of ranking there. So it starts 1 year, and like I said, you can become a priest, a grand magus. They have a system of order there. They do, and every organization is supposed to have that because no organization can function without structure. No organization. You got to have rules and structure. What's some tips for dragon's blood incense? Well, it's not so much tips. Like usually the incense that everybody should keep, really, sandalwood, frankincense, dragon's blood, jasmine, and all the other stuff is just pluses. But those are the four incense you should always keep. Period. Is Lucifer Odin? No, but they helped create the earth together. Oh, I'm sorry. Jehovah did that. No, Odin and Lucifer are different, but they have worked together in the creation of this third dimensional reality. So, you're curious about Leviathan? Well, Leviathan is one of the kings and the serpents that's mentioned in the Bible. You can get the complete works of demonology by S. Connolly, but also Leviathan is good if you're struggling with depression. So he's good to work with if you're struggling with depression. So that's Leviathan really can help with that because I know a lot of people that's really struggling with depression. That's because their parents messed them up. That's I noticed that a lot. Your parents mess you up. You can take the Goetia. Like I said, Boar's good with healing. Marbos is good with healing. Lucifer is good with healing, and also Lucifer is good with you helping you find your way. Astaroth is good, and not only with healing you, but get your purpose. Because a lot of people they start going through the motions like, oh, I'm gonna join the army because my father was in the army. No, you join the army because you can't get a job. Okay, I get it. I get it. Have you ever experienced speaking in other languages with your hands? Yeah, absolutely. Demons can do that. I know Runway or Ronoff is good with helping you speak language. I'm working on Arabic as we speak. Have I worked with Andromeda? Yeah. So, uh-huh. As I said, if you keep thinking about a spirit, they trying to put that incentive in you. Because if you think, let's say you think about a demon once or twice a day or whatever, that demon's been thinking about you the whole week. Time is different over there. Okay? Time isn't like it is over here. It's totally different. So, and then when you're doing this, it's important to write down your stuff because what doesn't make sense now may make sense later on. Let me repeat it. What doesn't make sense now will make sense later on. One of the biggest impediments to being a good magician is that people lack patience and they lack discipline. The key to succeeding is that you do stuff even when you don't want to. That's how you excel. Well, one thing about Moloch, Nayamun, this Moloch can help you get your coins up. A lot of people don't know that. Moloch can help you get money, and also there's a vampiric ritual to work with Moloch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I know. So again, if I'm not mistaken, it's oh, it's in this book. You can do a ritual with Moloch. Moloch can help. Moloch can help you with money. I remember when I worked with Moloch. Moloch did me a real solid, and Moloch was the first one that told me, said, "Look, we gonna get an understanding right here. I didn't kill no kids. Him and Lilith. I'm telling you, don't bring up that whole Abrahamic religious diatribe. Okay? Don't bring that up to them. That's like if you bring up the Exodus to Pazuzu. Don't do that. Okay? Moloch can help you get your money right, but Moloch made it expressly clear, excuse me. I ain't killed no children. Next question. And what I'm supposed to do? Argue with him? No. Next order of business. The end. So there you go. So I appreciate the family coming out to the live. I appreciate my moderators and Naya Moon. You are right. Trogs are crazy. They have been and they always will be. And that's why I'm a necessary evil. I must exist. So I want to say I love y'all all. Go to my Patreon. Um, you put in the comments section what you would like the next live to be dealing with. We talked about Judas Iscariot and we talked about Egyptian vampiric magic. So that's the birthplace of vampirism and it just spread everywhere else. So there you have it. Peace and stay safe out there. Darkness and elevation.